9 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
All right, so I don't know if Gizzard is listening, but of course, as soon as I start the show, he texts me over there. Anyway, that distracted me a little bit. Welcome, everybody. Going live a little bit earlier today. Still kind of shotgunning when to do the show. So I've been getting different feedback from different people on the time. So like I say, I'll just keep putting them out here and we'll see what works for everybody, what's comfortable, what's useful, etc. So this is Tuesday and midday. Traditionally, this would have been workshops. So we would have been talking about things and ideas and strategies, techniques, and Q&A, that kind of stuff for people in the community who have the interest in participating, whether that be activism, which would be ideal, or just content creation, and the other stuff that was involved out there. So if anybody's interested in any topics like that, of course we can address them. Tuesdays, again, traditionally would have been in that workshop kind of theme when we would talk about the tools and the techniques and the tips as far as how to get things done out here in the world, either in the community or in the industry. But again, I'm not sure who's listening to the show these days, so we'll find out from comments and feedback what kind of direction we should go on that. It's interesting that we've got almost all our viewers today from everything except YouTube. Is it not working on YouTube? Is my audio working? DJ was out here earlier. He might have booked already because it's saying nobody's on YouTube. So I guess nobody's here. But thanks to DJ for dropping some comments in there to let people know to subscribe. And he does that for every show because, again, the way that these systems work, these are just mechanisms. There's nothing magic here. And it's certainly not like some people would like to think. This isn't personalized or taking things personally. There might be some general things in the logarithms that they, guidelines that they put in there that we don't like, but essentially the robots aren't out to get us. So if we are using these platforms wisely, then we can have more success than if we use these platforms like tools, which are, that's all they are, tools. Use these tools foolishly, right? Then you can't expect to get great results if you don't use your tool right. So anyway, that being said, now everybody's moving, shifting around again. So we're still not having anybody on YouTube. Maybe there's no YouTube notifications going out. I don't really care. So we do this live, and then the point of doing it live is that it's not scripted and we don't really have topics, at least at the moment. The show's been live every single day since 2016. So we have had topics in the past. We've had very structured formats and things, but over 10 years now, every single day we've been live. That's a lot of time to play around with the system and the format and whatnot. One thing we've had consistently all that time is supporters, people that pay the bills. There's not that many bills at all, really. But back in the day, there used to be. We were out traveling and doing a bunch of things and making projects happen. And the participation financially of people on Patreon made that all possible. So it's pretty cool. We still have people over there that help keep the websites going. We talk about the websites occasionally over here. Just about to pay the bill. So it's thousands and thousands of dollars. So definitely appreciate the folks that throw in a couple of bucks each month to make all this happen. They have a scroll at the bottom of the screen thanking them for that. We do that on Patreon. A lot of people hate Patreon. Yeah, I get it. But that's where we've been doing it for a long time and people like it. It works for us. So it works for us. Again, these are tools. If you don't ask the tool to do something it doesn't want to do, then you can get more use out of that tool. Some people insist on tools being used the way they want. And if that goes outside their policies or something, that's when they run into conflicts, and then you end up people being butthurt about the tools instead of just finding a different tool or something. But anyway, so like I say, traditionally we've done the workshops on Tuesdays. So I'm probably going to end up talking about that kind of stuff if nobody brings up anything else. I think we've figured out though from Gizzard that you can't comment on X without some, I don't know if it's the blue check mark or something. So, or maybe you have to be subscribed. I forget what it is, but so it's possible that people on X aren't going to be able to figure out how to comment. People on Facebook could, but they're too busy scrolling. So we'll find out if they comment at all. And it looks like we're getting some people showing up on YouTube. So at least we know that it's not broken. But I guess what I was saying earlier too is that we do this live, and I do it as a non-scripted human conversation with the audience, and that part's been consistent throughout the 10 years of doing the show every single day. And while we use AI like everybody to help with some art and stuff like that, don't script the show, don't have AI voices or anything. I'm not trying to figure out the ideal like system or the ideal topics to put out at the ideal schedule so that I can make the most sales or something, because we're not really selling anything over here. My goal is to share guns on the internet, and unfortunately that was working really well for a while. Like for a number of years, just sharing guns on the internet was a lot of fun. I worked at AOL in the 90s, and at the end of the 90s there was not a lot of stuff on the internet. Most of the internet was behind either like AOL or something like that. There weren't no social medias yet, but people didn't understand the internet was open. So people would go to places like, Netscape and shit. Like they'd go to places and think that was the internet. They just weren't familiar with the internet yet. So in those first 2000 to maybe 2007 was really the time when there might have been a bubble in there or whatever, but that's when everybody figured out, that something or another.com is where you go on the internet. You don't need AOL to get you there. AOL could get you there, but you could get there by yourself with just your phone connection or your cable company or whatever you had for internet. So anyway, that was a pretty fun time. And what was I even talking about? Now I'm just reminiscing the olden days. So anyhow, that's when we started this show. And what is out there? Finally got somebody commenting. Getting the wife coffee. I don't believe in coffee anymore. I used to believe in coffee, but now I believe coffee's outdated. If you go to the right kind of tree and then scrape off the light blue fungi off of the north side of that tree, that's the perfect drink. You take that, you prepare it cold or actually just room temperature, and it'll just float on the top of the water and get in your teeth and whatever. But it's not sweet at all. It's actually kind of bitter and tangy in a bad way, kind of like if you half like throw up in your mouth a little bit. But it's also room temperature, and there's all those flaky things floating around it. That's so much better for you than coffee. So that's really what'll catch on here. And soon we'll just have, I don't really know what to call that, I guess mold water, but we'll have mold water shops. People will be waiting in line for mold water. And like a dirty mold water will have some tree sap in it, I guess. And that'll be the next big thing. If you want to invest in it now, I can help you out with that. I know some places you can invest in that. But I guess I can understand why some people drink coffee still. It says it's required in there, some kind of law. Anyhow, what was I saying? I forgot how I got on talking about the olden days. How did I get all the way back to AOL? I forgot how I got all the way back to AOL. Mold bucks. There we go. See, there we go. Another person doesn't like coffee. There's Gizzard. So I'll have to, you texted or whatever, replied in the Discord just at like the moment I went live, or like the moment my, whatever this thing is called, Yeah, tree sap. That's what I meant. Um, it won't make it sweet. It'll just make it more gross, but also sticky. Anyway, to Gizzard, I have, if you're not going, I'm probably going to be going right through there. So I was just going to say, if it works for you, I'll, instead of going through one city, I'll go through your city and then stay there. And we can, if you're down, we can eat breakfast or whatever in the morning. Actually, both ways, because it looks like my route's going to go right through your area both ways this time. So we can chat more in the thing if you want. So it'll kind of just depend if you're around, if you're by your daughters or whatever you're doing. So anyway, we're talking about Tuesdays traditionally on the show is my workshop days. And then I started blabbing about how we've been doing the show since 2016 and it has evolved a little bit. But yeah, so I typically would talk about just moving things along. Oh, I guess that's how I got into it. So I was working at AOL back in the days. I used to always talk about this. And the internet was just smaller. So you could buy domain names because they were available. And a couple of times stuff happened at AOL where I just saw people buy a bunch of names, scoop them up, like email addresses and things. And I was like, oh, there's actually advantage to owning websites, domain names. And so I bought a bunch back in the old days when I had a bunch of money when I was working at AOL. And because it actually started with lakes. Here's the real story. I like sharing my gun stuff, and I would share my gun stuff because I live out here in Arizona, and everybody else I knew lived back in the back in the East where they can't do nothing or they couldn't do much back in the day for sure as far as shooting, and we could just go out shooting wherever we wanted out here. So what I did in the early days of the internet was basically just show what my friends back home what we were doing out here and put them on websites because I had bought all these websites. But then there was no money in that, it's not all that fun. So I was literally just doing that to show my friends. So once I figured out how to put stuff on the internet doing that, I immediately just went to fishing because the situation in Arizona, at least, is I think there's like 2 actual lakes in Arizona. Everything else is, I still own, I hate guns. Whatever. There's only like 2 lakes. All the rest of the lakes were created by people either for agriculture or some reason, right? Hey, we're getting some kind of like noises and icons and stuff on Facebook. I just realized that can happen. So thanks for the people. I don't know if that's thumbing it up or what they're doing on Facebook, but they're doing something on Facebook that's making icons happen on my screen. So thanks for that. I don't think that's showing up on the feed, but I can see it on this end. Anyway, so I started posting stuff about the lakes down here because all these, I guess the lakes in here are all made. And because like I say, it was just the early days of the internet still, there weren't any websites at all. Like, I don't think there was any websites. The only thing that even mentioned the lakes in Southern Arizona was like the U.S. Forest Service website. And it was bad at the time. It was still, a baby website. So there was just nothing. There was no pictures or anything. And I think back then digital cameras were like 1 megapixel or something. So they were crude, but I had one and I paid like, $60 for it or something. I didn't buy an expensive one or anything, but I bought like a Kodak and ran around taking pictures of all the lakes, and it gave me something to do. And it was a fun project. And I really like building websites. Like the building, it's sort of like building a book or something. But it's interactive and it's neat. And then you'd get people, comments and stuff. And the back end of building websites was what we were doing. Like that was our gig after AOL, for me at least. We went to building websites for companies and doing stuff like that. So for me, it was like exercise. If a company needed a website to do XYZ, I would go make one of our Arizona Lake websites, do it, get it all figured out, and then go do it for the client. So it was like a giant workshop for us, or a big sandbox, I guess you'd call it. Anyway, so we had all this stuff, and then at some point, somebody along the line said, hey, you know what? You could be putting ads on those websites and just living off of the ads on these websites. And we were like, oh, wait a minute, that's true. So anyway, that's kind of the gist of it. And in there somewhere, kind of watching the internet grow and seeing how people took it and knowing what's possible and knowing what people are doing and not doing really, is when I think that's what honed my interest in having a collaborative conversation online rather than, like a speech or like what do you call it? Like a uh, like a seminar or something. Like most things online are like, here, I'm going to tell you stuff and you can listen easily because it's online, and now go away, or pay me or something. I much prefer the conversations, the back and forths. I really enjoyed the IRC. Is that what it was called back in the day? And then that turned into the forums, which were way easier to deal with and more people used them. So the IRC was interesting and fun, but only because it was brand new and the people that used it were horrible. Then the forums were way better because there was more people, and then it turned into be horrible. And then the smaller forums, and then luckily the social medias came around. But anyway, so if we're talking about this kind of stuff, Woods is saying I still own IHateGuns.com. I don't know if there's anything on it. Let me go look and see. Let me move this out of the way. For a while, it was just I wanted to own it because I didn't want somebody else to own it. I figured, you know what I mean? Like, screw that. I didn't want some anti-gunner to own it. And then once I owned it, it used to cost like $7 to own a website, so it didn't matter much. Oh, here, now we can go look at it together, I guess. I do have something on it. But I basically bought it because I could. It was not that expensive. And I guess over the years, I've spent hundreds of dollars on it maybe. But, each year I spent like $10 on it or something. But at some point I used it for something. So let's open it up here and take a look. It's been different things over the years. But right now it's something. I probably wrote this with AI or something. I don't remember putting this up. So DJ San are asking, when's the last time I designed and published a website? I do these in my sleep sometimes, so I must have been awake late one night and put this up, I guess. Anyway, it says the debate over gun ownership has become one of the most divisive issues in American society today. And you can tell I probably didn't write this because I don't like to say American society. I would say United States society, because America is this whole continent. Well, this whole hemisphere, really. Anyway, it seems that there are groups of people who hold completely different opinions about guns, and they seem to be consistently at odds with one another. The truth, however, is that division between gun owners and anti-gun folks is largely driven by misunderstandings and miscommunication, which have been fueled by those who profit off the confusion. The first and most obvious misunderstanding is that both sides often see each other as extremists. Gun owners see anti-gun activists as people who want to take away their guns in place of helping end violence, while anti-gun advocates see gun owners as people who prioritize their right to own guns over the safety of others. The reality is that most people fall somewhere in between these two extremes. Most gun owners don't want to see guns in the hands of criminals or the mentally ill, and most anti-gun advocates don't want to take away guns from responsible and law-abiding citizens. I think I wrote this way before the AI, so I wonder how I must have wrote this, I guess. Another misunderstanding that contributes to the division in the belief that gun ownership is inherently tied to one's political beliefs. Another misunderstanding that contributes to this division is the belief that gun ownership is inherently tied to one's political beliefs. In reality, there are gun owners and anti-gun advocates across the political spectrum. It is not just conservatives who support gun ownership, and it is not just liberals who want stricter gun control laws. However, the media and politicians often portray the issue as a partisan manner, which only serves to reinforce the misconception. Perhaps the biggest source of miscommunication in the gun debate is the language used by both sides. Terms like gun control, gun rights have become loaded phrases that immediately trigger a defensive response in the opposing camp. This makes it difficult to have a rational discussion about the issue, as people are often more focused on defending their position than on understanding the other side's perspective. This is exacerbated. Did I write this? I don't use that word. This is exacerbated by the fact that many people get their information about the issue from biased sources, which further reinforce their existing beliefs. We used to call the podcast the I Hate Guns podcast. Over the years, we have had the pleasure to meet many interesting people in the firearms industry. Occasionally, we get the chance to record those encounters and share those interviews, conversations, and behind-the-scenes footage. We've posted video interviews featuring Massad Ayoob, Chris Costa, who doesn't remember me anymore, James Yeager, who probably would still remember me, Tueller, I don't know if he'd remember me, Phil, maybe, Wayne Baker, I'm not sure if he's still kicking, Kyle Lamb, I don't know, he knows me, USNER Doc probably still knows me. Anyway, Dustin Ellerman, Paul Barrett, and Dan Southard, and more. what they don't say, that's the rest of the podcast. So this was sort of a placeholder, I guess, for a minute because we had the podcast, and I figured, if anybody's ever searching for the podcast, have a thing here. But as you can see, YouTube's removed all the videos by now. So if you don't know, YouTube kind of melts our channels. You post videos. Most of the time the videos go up, but then at some point in the future, they're like, yeah, psych, and they take it down. Anyway, so that is IHateGuns.com right now. But if we went to the Wayback Machine, how many people know about the Wayback Machine? So, from whatever that dog is and his sidekick cartoon back in the day, that's where the Wayback Machine is named. And you go to the Wayback Machine, and now it's owned by archive.org. But if you just type in Wayback Machine, it'll take you here. And then you type in a website, any website you want. And the internet is recorded pretty much all the time, always. If you didn't know that, it's just a big piece of data. So here's every single instance that the Wayback Machine knows about I Hate Guns over the years. So if we go back to 2015, for example, I should probably open this in a new window, but it would pop up and we could see what it looks like in 2015. If we went back to 2011, we'll probably see fewer, but we'll still see some instances of where it saved the website. Now, there was fewer websites in 2011, and our website would have been, at that point, a number of years old, so it would have had some standing. And then it looks like some point up here, it took a bunch of new ones in 25. I think it's probably going to be exactly the same. Anyway, you get the idea. So that's what it looked like for a little while when it was probably the podcast, and you can see it had all kinds of junk going on with it. Look, there was never really any advertising. The only advertising is for ourselves, which, screw off. We're allowed to advertise ourselves. And then we support the Second Amendment. That's not really advertising. Stupid Second Amendment Foundation with just a plain old link, no $10 a month or anything. Arizona Citizens Defense League, back when they were cool. JPFO, again, just plain old link. And GOA, just plain old link. NRA, plain old link, no $10 a month or anything like that. And then Gun Channels, which if you know what Gun Channels is, go ahead and raise your hand. But anyway, so that was what it looked like, whatever year this was, February of, what did it say? I forget which one that was. And then the other one, this would have been the old one. This is the old days. I really liked some of these tiled backgrounds. The internet hates them, but I really liked them. Oh, snap. This is super old. So, yeah. No, the internet changed, and we were, like I say, screwing with shit along the way. So I also own I Hate Guns, I Hate Chicken, I Hate Cow, I Hate Ham, I Hate Hamburgers, I Hate Monkeys, I Hate Puppies, I Hate Television, I Hate Tuna, and I Hate Turkey. So if you can come up with some good ideas for one of those, then let's talk, because that's why I bought them, to have fun with them. Let's see. So I'll close that out. Let me quit looking at that. But yeah, I do own quite a few fun ones. I also own a ton of like Charleston Loophole and Gun Show Loophole and shit like that, because I don't want the anti-zone and that stuff either. And that's why we named the tour the Gun Show Loophole Tour, so that anytime somebody looks up Gun Show Loophole, hopefully they're getting, our tour of the gun shops and things like that. Let's see. Jess is saying, first 6-inch growth of wholesome needles are healthy, and if you're feeling sick, it'll make you feel better. Just add a little honey. Yep, I've seen some interesting stuff about pine needles. I guess I shouldn't say that. I was going to say we don't really have pine needles, but that's not true. If I go up 3,000 or 4,000 feet, there's pine needles all over the place. I don't know if they're the right kind of pine needles or if all pine needles are the same. But I've seen some stuff where, what do? You take like pine needles and like some kind of stuff and you turn them into like vinegar cleaner, and that seems like pretty interesting. I don't know about making teas, but I imagine that would be pretty good if you like drinking pine. Let's see. Have I ever sold any of the domains? Yeah. When I was broke for years there, I had to sell a cute few. It's not like I own ones that are so amazing that people need to buy them, but I think I sold Young Guns podcast. Back in the days of gun channels, kind of the early days of gun channels, there were, maybe it was before gun channels even, but back in the early days of chatting, there were, I don't want to be mean. So there's always been we're all adults doing this, but then there's always been youngins coming along. So, 18, whatever years old, I'm assuming, because they're into guns, but they're not quite able to buy their own yet. So there were a bunch of us doing these podcasts. And if you can remember back in the old days, like 2010 and 11, when we first started, when YouTube first turned on the live chats, a bunch of people started doing live chats, and they became like gridlocked. Like we had, time slots, and every single day was taken. And that's where corking comes from. Like everybody had a time slot and everybody was cool with it. It's like the world was fine. Everybody was comfortable with it, and everybody was fine. And then every once in a while, somebody would come along and cork everybody and just throw their show whenever they felt like it. And these people that just do their shows whenever, right? They don't have a scheduled time. Horrible people. But anyway, that was a big issue back in the day because, you'd be planning on watching something and somebody else would do something. It's just annoying. So anyway, back in those days, some of the kids that were young, right, but didn't have enough like interest in doing this to create a channel and do stuff, we created the Young Guns podcast, put it out there, and gave them the keys. I think something like that. Because again, websites don't cost nothing to set up. So I just set that up. I forget if we had like I think we had a YouTube for sure. I can't remember if we had a Facebook for it because I wasn't a big fan of Facebook back then. But essentially, we set it up, and then those guys used it. Was it just dudes? There might have been a chick, but there was a couple of kids using it, maybe 4 or 5 altogether. And I don't know if they ever did a podcast all together. Does anybody remember this? It was a long time ago now. I'm thinking about it. But anyway, they used it for months, maybe, for some amount of time, and then they quit using it. And, it's like, oh, well, it was a nice thing. It's kind of like building a fort or something in the backyard. Like once somebody stops using it, it kind of falls apart. So the thing was just sitting there. And then somebody came along and said, can I buy it off you? And I can't remember anymore, but let's say $500 or something. And at the time, like that was a lot. That was like probably as much as I was making in a month. So whenever somebody said, hey, can I buy that off you? I was like, hell yeah, you can buy that off of me. So a couple of times that kind of stuff has happened, but it's only been weird names, not the names I would have expected. I've never bought any names to resell them. I bought them to play with them because I have my own servers and stuff, right? So I'm like Night Strike. When you buy each of your domains separate and like pay to host them, some people have to do that. That's all they don't want to do it all. But if you've got a bunch, you just do it yourself. So once you have a bunch, you know how it is, you can do them way cheaper. So they're just to have fun with. I like to have a lot of, I just have names because they're fun to have, and I'm stupid and I buy too many of them. But anyway, it's too many to manage. I would need like some kind of a crew over here to manage them if I really gave a shit about them, as far as like making them make money or something. The forums and the BBSs predate all of that. Yep. I don't know what time we were saying that, but yeah, definitely. Pack Rat's out there probably working, just on his way to a doctor appointment. Oh, okay. Let's see. Oh, I see. What's it saying? I hate guns is how I found you and the Daily Gun Show. We had it as like I hate guns, and then basically it was me and Bob that started the show, and I was like, I'm gonna call it I Hate Guns, and that'll make people that hate guns listen to the podcast, and then they'll be like, oh shit, they're talking about guns. But then I don't think it was working. Like I don't think anybody did that, and it just sounded dumb to have a show called I Hate Guns and have to explain it all the time. So that's when we started calling it the Daily Gun Show. I had a Daily Gun Show was really a store at first. Like I tried to make it an actual online gun show because I was working with how many, 2 or 3 gun show promoters, maybe more if you count like relationships with them, but like actually getting paid by like 2 or 3 or more at one time. Definitely a bunch over the years. I really like gun shows, and I've tried to help them as much as I can. Like I basically worked for gun shows for free so that they would stay going. Like I was paid, but basically by getting into the shows for free. So anyway, I would do whatever I could to keep the gun shows going. And here's what I don't get. And I'll give this out for free. You just owe me if you're a gun show promoter and you're listening to this. But you're a gun show promoter and you're going to have somebody show up for however long, 2 days, 3 days, if you're lucky, at a gun show at some spot, for like once a month, maybe if you're lucky, twice a month, but probably once a month. And then that person has to go home and sit on their thumbs until you come around again and have a gun show. Well, if you're going to go to all the trouble of having a website for your gun show, why not set up a back end so that when that person signs up for a table, they can choose how many months worth of online table they want, and then give them a table in physical reality, but then the same time, you give them an online table, and each table can hold like 25 items, let's say. And now people who are, patrons of the gun show can come to the show live and or show up, at any time and browse online. Like, it makes no sense to me. And then you'd have just so much more, much more coming out of a gun show. So anyway, that was what Daily Gun Show was originally supposed to be. And it was like that. If you look at the Wayback Machine, you'll see, like different attempts. This was crude. It was a long time ago when I had to code everything myself, and I'm not good at that. Otherwise, I'd be rich. But yeah, that was kind of a website that I had bought. It was sitting there, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to make it the podcast now, because it is, it's like our show. It's about guns, and it's daily. Plus, we need more stuff saying gun show on the internet. It just is. Way before AI, I knew that we win when we own the Overton window. So if someone goes online and starts searching out gun shows and all they get is gun show loophole, gun shows kill people, gun shows give guns to criminals, now if they go on there, good luck. You know how many shows there are? We've been live every single day from 2016. So I think it was pretty good switching, or I think it was a good idea to switch over in the hindsight, because otherwise it would have been 16 or 10 years of I hate guns out there. Gizzard is saying YouTube basically controls the logarithms that determine what new viewers see. New videos are only promoted in the feed in a certain amount of the time for most. Yeah, and there's things you can do to like sweeten the pot or like kind of get it to lean one way or the other, but the best you can do is sort of influence it. You certainly can't steer it. How much are you paying per domain? I don't know. Something like less than $20 a month, or not a month, $20 a year. They cost a lot because I own a shit ton of them, because I buy them once a year type of thing. Like I'm about to buy thousands of them or thousands of dollars of them, but each one is not that much. So if you're paying a lot for your domain names, chat me or I'll hook you up with places that you can get them cheaper. But once you bone maybe 20 or something, like don't pay full price for sure anymore. Kind of depends on each company, but I think 20, 25 is usually the threshold before they put you into some kind of bigger account. Although it's been a long time. I just kind of own them now. It was a long time ago since I've been building them. Oh yeah, Pine Needle Soda. I'm wondering if I've tabbed that or not. Let's see. YouTube took all your AZ Pack Rat videos down. They took down Cape Gunworks too, it seems like. So that sucks. Thanks to the guys in the Discord for bringing that up. Oh, what's it saying? When I was young, I used pine needles to not smell like cigarettes. That's interesting. 223, welcome. It's good to see you. Okay, he's got his coffee. He's happy. Or his wife will be happy, I guess. All right, everybody's saying hey to whatever. Let's see. The way to describe that, it makes me think of publishing gun positive stuff to train away the AI. Yeah, it's tough to say. The AI is too slippery or too big or too slimy, like whatever the word is. It's not a thing that you can see borders of, so you can like understand what it's discovered and what it hasn't. We don't know what it's read and what it hasn't, what it's remembered, what it cares about, the kind of shit. So I would say I think we're beyond. I think at the beginning, maybe 2 years ago, when it was still pretty crude, I think there was a potential to train AI, and I was really seriously considering like, should there be like some kind of initiative to do that? But I mean, I'm no super expert or nothing. I'm just kind of watching it and playing with it, probably a little bit more than a regular person, but not as much as some kind of person who gets paid to do it. Do I get paid to do it? I guess technically somehow I get paid to do it, but I'm not paid well. I'm not doing it smartly. I'm not getting paid by AI companies to build it or anything like that. But anyway, so, wherever I'm at, that's my perspective on it, is that it's big enough. I don't know if the word big enough is the right word. It's just complex enough at this point. Kind of like if a robot was reading all the books in a library, at what point can you pull a book off the shelf to influence it? Like you don't, unless it's telling you, it's leaving some kind of trail as to where it's read. You know what I mean? You just don't know where it's read or not. So you could go do stuff and it might be completely a waste of time. And if we're going to coordinate a bunch of people together, I'd rather do something else, like have a rally or do something else completely than try to worry about AI. I don't think AI is a big a deal as everybody else. So a bunch of people are not going to like that hot take, but think about it this way. How come everybody wants you to hate AI? Like, it's not universally bad. It's a thing. It's a tool. It's like cars or the internet or airplanes or satellites or something. So it's how you use it. I mean, unless we're going to start saying that technology can be evil and that it has nothing to do with the way people use it. But if anyway, that's my hot take, that AI is fine. We just have to be comfortable with managing it and not fearing fiction. But the people that are against that concept, that are going to lean into the fear, I'm just going to ask, like, do you question the source? Like, you question the source if they told you who voted for what, or you'd question the source if they told you what to jab in something, or you'd question the source if they told you the value of your gasoline is going to be next week or something. But when both sides are telling you to hate AI, makes no sense. Like, that's fake. So anyhow, my biggest concern is when China is going to take it and keep going with it, and we're going to be standing here like chumps watching other countries use technologies that we were scared to use because of witchcraft. Let's see, working to offset it is somehow a good thing, I think. Well, that's what I was going to kind of get at. So I don't think a campaign or anything, but I do think awareness, just sort of the general, like, security, privacy, and has been an issue for the internet and for phones and for just general devices for a while now. And people are doing a pretty poor job of being secure on their wireless devices. But AI is another level. It's sort of a technique rather than a piece of gear. So far we've had to be concerned about, if you wanted to be, you didn't have to be, I guess, but if you wanted to be concerned about privacy and security, you'd want to understand how your phones work, physically how your phones work. And then that got a little blurred when phones started like chirping subaudibly and like flashing invisible lights to each other and doing things to dance with each other that we don't even know about. So that became a bit more of a, you got to know how your phone works, but also you want to tactically use your phone, like maybe leave it in the car if you're going into the store. I mean, people, all know, right? When you walk into a store with your smartphone and you spend 10 seconds longer in front of the Doritos than you do in front of the Cheetos, you're going to get a Doritos ad tomorrow. Like, they know that. Like, Walmart knows that, Doritos knows that, and Fritos, like whoever the companies involved are, know how long you're standing in the aisles looking at whatever you're looking at. The thing can tell when you're looking at it or not. Like, it can tell, when you're standing there looking at macaroni or whatever else. Plus, you add that into whenever you're buying, and you're giving it so much data. So just stuff like that. Like, people aren't paying attention to that because what do you care? Like, oh, big deal, I'll get a coupon for the spaghetti I'm buying next week. But what's really going on there? And that's the bigger picture. Like, most people are just, yeah, I don't care. It's worth it. The phone's convenient. It's handy. It doesn't cost that much. I like the camera in it. Whatever your excuse is to ignore that. Well, AI comes to another level where, like, okay, you've accepted to some we have accepted to some extent, like, let our phones just pull all this data and use it. Well, AI is able to actually use it, and it'll be a whole nother thing. So it'll be more of a strategy thing. Like I say, leaving the phone in the car, putting it in a Faraday bag. Like, oh no, I got to put my $700 phone in a bag that keeps it more secure, that cost me like $7. Like, you know what I mean? Like, right now people are going to bitch and moan about that, but in reality, like, big whoop, we start carrying around another thing. We already carry around enough things. Maybe we put it in some kind of phone case that has some kind of electromagnetic Faraday cage you click on and off with like a solar thing. So, you know what I mean? Like, the case itself just becomes like a seclusion thing. So we have the ability to not be duped and used. It's just a matter of people asking for that tech and some nerds creating it and some capitalists mass producing it. So anyway, or we can hide in the sand and fear fiction. Oh, I saw some movies and those movies made it seem like robots are going to be horrible, so we hate robots now. Like, don't go watch Robotech. Robots are fucking awesome. Like, robots are going to give us battleships in space, you dumbasses. Let's see. It can't be completely pissing in the wind. No, I agree with you. I just think that if we're gonna, you know what I mean? Like we only have so much attention and so much opportunity as a group of people that give a shit at any one time. And I think some of the best things we've done are like that 2019 rally, just because it became like a baseline for activism, for a bit. Then, of course, we had a super challenge of the bullshit of the 2020 era. But anyway, so since we're only going to get so many more opportunities to get the people who are capable and able at the moment, right? Because we're talking about now, right? We're not talking about theoretically in 15 years what would be nice. We're talking about like right now. I think that right now, if we got everybody together somehow, like, somebody stood up in the middle of a SHOT Show or something and said, hey, everybody's an activist, run over here in this corner real fast, and then gave them a quick, 5-minute lecture on something, 5-minute rundown or some 5-minute speech on something, that's where I'd rather see, like, let's get another rally going, or like, let's change the Overton window and here's how we can do it with like 3 easy steps. But I just don't put AI on that level yet. Maybe in the future, but we're not right now. And again, I think because somehow, or to some extent, it's because that would be almost futile. That's like trying to affect the ocean by getting a bunch of people out on a beach. Best you can hope for is to affect the ocean right there, but the ocean's so vast and it's all connected that you just have to understand that there's some pressures that you deal with or whatever, some things you deal with. Oh, let's see. DJ is saying, oh, Woods is being mean to robots. When the overlords come down, they remember all this, dude. Like, this is all data. They can immediately, like with their terabyte brains, they're going to immediately read all these things. And I mean, I'm just saying they're going to have like a list of people who get bacon and a list of people who don't get bacon. I'm just saying, you keep saying this all you want, but at some point the robots are going to read that when there are overlords. DJ saying, I still not seeing the persuasiveness of anti-AI. Some here, some there, but mostly how the government is using it. You're saying like most people aren't anti-AI. I think there's a sentiment of like AI is evil or AI is rogue or something. And then there's the fear of like, not just government, but like the entities that government, puppet strings or some shit, or the other way around, the strings that are holding the companies that run the government, or whatever people want to see that shit. I get all that. And yeah, sure. Like, oh my gosh, a tool could be used poorly. Oh no. Again, do we throw away the tool? Do we hide our heads in the sand and go, let's not use the tool? Or do we persecute the people that use the tool poorly? Like, come on. Like, what are we, weak or like incompetent to do this? So yeah, I get the that everyone being afraid of it or whatever, but being afraid of how it's used, if that's what you're saying. Let's see. Then he says, I'm totally agree that starting now is being way behind the game. Yeah. And the thing is 2020 hindsight, right? Like AI could have been, a big nothing. It could have been something that people didn't pay attention to. I suspect if some historian is going to be looking at this, I don't know, some amount of years, decades into the future, they're going to look at AI and go, here's the internet bubble or whatever you call it, like the internet creation rise or, whatever, like the beginning of the internet and how influential that was. Here's cell phones. Some of us that were alive for some of these things, like cable TV, was that big a deal? It was convenient. It was neat. It gave us all different TV channels and shit, but I don't think anybody's life was changed. I don't think life became easier for anybody because of cable, other than like, again, not having to go to a VCR store or whatever they were called. But like a cell phone, that was a big deal. Like cell phones changed the shit out of shit. And pagers even like really changed the way the world was done. Like you could get a doctor all of a sudden who was on vacation to come running in off the golf course, if you're having a heart attack, like just stuff like that, like literally changed lives with technology there. Cars, I don't know enough about cars, I guess, but stuff in cars probably changed. But yeah, somehow I guess what I was getting at is like if they're looking at it in the future, they're going to look at all these bubbles and they're going to look at like the AI, whatever phenomenon, I guess a better word than bubble, because they like to call it bubbles when they're shitting on stuff. But really, the .com bubble, quote unquote, .com phenomenon was getting our bearings, like getting our sea legs. Like only a moron or an idiot or a simpleton or like a child or like a dimwit would think that immediately something new happens and everyone's a master of it. And not only a master of it, but able to make decisions that are, have beautiful, wonderful consequences into the future. Because in all of history, no one has ever had to figure anything out, right? So these idiots that would go, "Oh, the internet, but the dot-com bubble," those are probably people that lost a shit ton of money jumping into something way too late, right? And expecting to become billionaires like the couple of first people did, and then shitting on the whole thing, like, "Oh, I hate capitalism because I didn't make $1 million like they did." When in reality, like, get, whatever. It's just the phenomenon is the way the phenomenons happen. There's a spike and then there's the end. But in reality, what the dot-com whatever phenomenon did was establish what the internet could do. And it was a failed attempt to transition out of essentially like what I was saying before, like the AOLs and the, I don't even remember, Dreamscape or something, like whatever those, I guess it was Netscape, but there was like a couple of services that essentially, before people understood what the internet is or was or could be, because it didn't exist yet, but it was sitting out there, open, vacant land, waiting to be the internet. And some of us understood that and we're like, "Oh shit, yeah, let me chisel out a chunk of the internet out here." And then, the internet providers provide the roads. We just create places and give them names and everybody else figures it out. But then search engines came along and helped everybody figure it out, like taxis on the highway. So anyway, people didn't know what was going on. So they feared it. They lost money and they call it shit. But in reality, it was like a necessary first step to get to where we are in the internet. I mean, that's where PayPal came from and shit. Like, to say that the internet or the dot-com bubble was a dumb thing or like a bad thing is just ignorant, like I say. So anyway, I think it's something similar to that. I think if they look at this in the future, historians are going to say, well, this phenomenon, this AI phenomenon, probably wasn't all that different than cell phones or the internet or whatever, or fast internet, or however you want to look at these different phenomenons. But the big difference is, politically, people were being manipulated at a different level since maybe the 60s or something. I'm trying to think, because I wasn't alive during some of these years where I know I feel like there was some heavy propaganda going down. I think we're living in an era of like more propaganda than typical. I don't think that there's necessarily like a worse or better. We're not in a better or worse time. I think we're kind of in a decent time. We're in a middle to better, fair to middling type situation. But the the descriptions of it, depending on which side politically you're on, we're being told this is the worst time ever or the best time ever. So anyway, I think that once they all is said and done, 50 years, 100 years in the future, when they're looking back at like the beginning of AI, they'll go like, "Oh, dang, I wish AI would have happened like what, even if it would have happened during Obama, we would have been so much different, in a different place politically, that everyone would have just been like, 'Oh yeah, I fucking either like Obama or I hate Obama. I forget, but I really like this AI. This is nifty. Like, wow, my phone can do some cool stuff. Like, we should be going, like, we have little R2D2s. Like, we can just walk up to our thing and ask it stuff now. Like, we basically have little R2D2s. And if people weren't lazy, we would have little R2D2s. R2D2 should be about the size of a coffee can, though. He doesn't need to be as giant as a garbage can. I mean, if you need a giant R2D2 for something, maybe, but a regular R2D2 nowadays for like what we need it for should be about the size of a can, right? And then probably have some sort of jets so it can, follow us around the house or whatever. Maybe use magnetism, or I don't really care, but it should be able to follow us around the house. And then, yeah, we just ask it questions, and then you could have it beep to you, but we could also have it like just go right into your mind, because if we can have little R2D2 robots, we should also have some kind of mind control or mind interface at least. Let's see. DJ is saying, have you seen the robot that you can get into and pilot? It looks like a modern version of the freight loader in Aliens. I've seen a few. I mean, I probably watch those more than as many people, more than other people do. There's been a bunch over the years. Some of them look cooler than others. Some of them are like more practical than others. But if you're talking about like I've seen both the ones that are just meant to look like a cool movie prop or something, and they're typically not that cool. And then there's the ones that they're really using like for that to be a lifting, like an aid for a regular human. And those look less cool, but they are cool because they work, So yeah, I've seen a couple of those over the years. Pat Rat is saying, I remember life before the cell phone. I do remember it, but I can't say I remember it all that fondly, and I can't really remember it anymore. I mean, I know it happened, but that's been so long ago. Recently, a couple of friends, we've been sitting around trying to think about stuff, and it's like, I don't even care that I can't remember all the details. I can remember vague things, but there's a lot of brain. You know what I mean? There's only so much brain. There's a lot of stuff to remember. Oh, let's see. Or the T800s being built. They're crazy cool and seriously a little freaky. Oh, you're talking about actual walking around robots? Guess what? China's already got them. So again, we can be all scared of fiction and like, oh, jobs or some shit. But like countries that don't give a shit about anything and are just going to do what they're going to do have already got robots walking around and being police. So, and then of course, the only thing you see over here is the ones that fall over or like have a fit and wiggle their legs around or something, like the ones that are broke. But again, that's like ignoring 100% that as soon as something breaks on a robot, every other robot knows what happened and never happens to that robot. So every mistake they have is that fleet of robots never, learning to never have that mistake. Like it's funny to watch, I guess, until they are way better than we have. And we even started making robots over here for crying out loud. But we did ban drones being imported, so that helped. There you go. Banning the importation of foreign drones somehow makes us a better country because there's no infrastructure for building our own drones. There's none even considered because a regular drone, costs less than $500 and they can sell them to the government for 7,000 plus. They're not even considering making them for the general public. So essentially they made regular drones, what's the word? Like, just like the NFA, what they did to full autos, like there are what there are, and that's it, and they can't get any more. But you can sell them, on a list, at least. Oh, dude, it would. GJ is saying it wouldn't take long to spool up the drone industry here. Yeah, it would, because one, they don't care. Two, they're not gonna, and three, we don't have any of the parts. Like we would have to get everything from another place. So all we would do is be assembling them here. We could probably make some propellers and shit, and maybe an engine or two. But no, that would be like saying, oh, we can just spin up the AK industry here. Some probably individuals tried, but no massive undertaking was made because they knew it was not a thing. Zoomer, last of the boomers. Okay. Oh, goodness. So we've been on for about an hour. I've got a robot doctor appointment. I don't know how many people have done this before. Probably more people than I can imagine because I don't go to the doctor. But eye doctors, you go there and then some kind of robot gets put onto your face. And then I'm assuming a doctor in like Bangladesh or someplace is going to be, going like, is this better or this better? One or this or that? I don't know. Or, however they're going to do it. I'm not going to say how the doctor's going to do it, but they're going to be like this or that. And yeah, the doctor won't even be there. I'll just have some robot on my face and controlled by the internet. So that's some kind of hybrid. Is that like a, what do you call it? Or a, why can't I think of, is it Android? Is that an Android if it's being controlled by a human? But I think an Android has to be in the shape of a human. But it's definitely some kind of human machine hybrid that'll be connected to my face, determining what my eyeballs need to do. I don't know if anybody's done that, but that's happening. Let's see. So taking a look at where people are coming in from now. It seems to have shifted a little bit, but we still have a bunch of people out there. Whenever I get the Facebook charged up a little bit here again, we'll have some more straight gun, 100% gun related topics, because that's pretty much all I do on the Facebook anymore is gun stuff. And then let's see, today's Tuesday. I'm going to figure out what day to do the calendar stuff, because I am a big fan of, again, making this useful so that it's not just wasted time listening to something. I understand that some people doing shift work or, on the clock or something that can listen to the radio or whatever, or listen to something like this, either live, ideally, or as the podcast. it'll get posted as a podcast and then put out as a blog as well. But no matter how you're, listening to it or whatever, it's supposed to be, something that's useful. So one of the things I figure we can do to do that or accomplish that would be to dig into the calendars every so often, talking about like anniversaries of old-fashioned stuff that happened or important, progress that we've made, or every once in a while some kind of bad thing, but also the current things of what's happening. And like I say, that's going to figure out what day. I was doing it on Friday for the longest time. It just seems cliche to do it on Friday. So since again we've been doing the show live every single day since 2016, we often will change up the format or whatever. And guess what? Since you're part of the show, you can leave us some feedback on what you think about that, like what you would prefer, maybe what works with your schedule or something. All right. Well, to be honest, it's getting kind of hot here and nobody saying much except for DJ. So I think we're going to wrap it up here and call it a day. If you're listening to this in the future and you want to join one live, DJ's leaving you some links there. Basically just watch the channel. I don't know if you want, but getting a little winded. It must be the altitude. I'm going to blame it on the altitude and not something else. So I'm going to end it here. We'll say thanks to the people that joined and to the people who made whatever little faces and characters and stuff over on Facebook. I don't even know how to do that. I'll have to figure it out. Toby over at Cape Gunworks got kicked off of YouTube, or at least their YouTube channel ain't there. So they are on Facebook and on X with their live shows. And they used to be live Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. But I'm not sure of the actual schedule since my schedule's been kind of weird too. But again, thanks for the folks joining. Again, for the people that like DJ and Woods that are commenting, as well as Pack Rat and 223 was out there today. But again, appreciate that. That makes the show go by and gives us some direction. I could just ramble, but that's not really my goal. Jess was out there talking about the tea earlier. And yeah, we'll see you next time. I'm going to get rid of these intros and outros because it turns out every time I do them, the shows get stepped on. I don't own the music anymore, I guess. I guess I never owned the music. So I guess they're worried about that. All right. Thanks. Have a good one. Should I end this on a different one? Maybe I could do that. I've already ruined it with the first one, though. At least I'll change it up.
Shit. Ninja? Ninja! Ninja!
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.